I'm Marty Cohn, and welcome to episode 28 of Rotary Cares, the monthly award-winning show that will tell you everything you want to know about Rotary International and more. Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers that come together to make positive, lasting change in communities at home and abroad. Established over 115 years ago, Rotary now has over 35,000 clubs all over the world. Rotary's motto is service above self, and Rotarians adhere to the four-way test, an ethical guide for Rotarians to use in their personal and professional relationships. The test has been translated into more than 100 languages. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? In Brattleboro, there are two clubs, the Brattleboro Rotary Club that meets every Thursday, and the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club that meets every Wednesday. At this time, both clubs meet via Zoom. Our guests today are Lynde, president of the Brattleboro Rotary Club, and Cindy Delgatto, president of the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club. Welcome, Carl.
Thank you, Marty.
All right, Carl. So thanks for coming on. This is our fourth season. So thanks for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure.
All right. So listen, the Brattleboro Rotary Club was chartered in 1950. 70 years ago. So how long have you been involved with Rotary?
That's just 5 years before I was born, but I've been involved since the mid 80s or so.
And do you remember, why did you join?
Yes, I had two close friends, and that's what Rotary is about. Jesse Coram and Joe Little approached me. Well, I didn't know much about Rotary itself. I knew many of the members, and I was anxious to get involved in the group's activities.
All right. Well, so let's get into some of that. So Rotary International is involved in several global projects, notably providing clean water, sanitation, and hygiene. How does the Rotary Club of Brattleboro participate globally?
Well, our club has a pretty good history of international activity. The most well-known is probably the Pure Water for the World, which helps communities improve their water quality, particularly in Central America is where it started, El Salvador, and then moved on. That effort's been taken over by Rotary International, has become quite a significant international activity. It's amazing that a group of less than 10 people, and here we have Pure Water for the World. We also support Polio Plus financially, as do all Rotary clubs, in our fundraising, and Polio Plus's goal is to eradicate polio within our lifetimes. And then there's annual events of disasters. Last year it was the fires in Australia, and many clubs supported financially funds to be spent appropriately where the disaster occurs. And some might think this is international or not, but here at home, Marty actually has been a great leader in our efforts over the last several years supporting the Lakota Nation. And that reservation in South Dakota, right, Marty? South Dakota, we've helped them with supporting and building out their radio station over several years, laptops, many laptops for the children in school, and quilt cloth for quilt making. And most recently, after several years, Marty's led an effort with a number of clubs and Rotary International to fund a maker's facility.
Okay, that's our international work. So, but let's Locally, though, what kind of projects does the club get involved in?
Well, we have a variety of hands-on projects that have occurred over the years, and the size and scope of the project usually depends on who the membership is. Back in the days when we had a contractor that was very active with us, Art Greenbaum, we built some pretty good projects like an extension of the deck at the Memorial Park. They call it the Kiwanis Shelter. We sometimes call it the Rotary Shelter. That was a 3-day event and pretty amazing to watch. And then last year, a little simpler, we built a toolbox basically for gardening tools for a group that operates down at the Brattleboro Co-op back in the side. That is also a bench that they use. And not everything is a building project. For a few years now, I think 5, we've been active in the island between Hinsdale and Brattleboro with the Connecticut River cleanup. And we're doing that this weekend, as a matter of fact. And we've also helped with building homes, many activities.
So that's, you know, that's really hands-on projects. Are there other kinds of ways in which the club helps the local community?
Yes, we have internally we call it a gift giving, but we, in our fundraising activities, we allocate a certain amount of our budget that's part of the golf tournament that's coming up and other activities, and we provide small grants to a number of nonprofits in the area. We also help with the food shelter in the winter and the Vermont Food Bank, mostly during the winter, and boxing up food for delivery.
So when you're talking about fundraisers, what's the club's biggest fundraiser?
Of course, it depends on how you define biggest. So the one that generates the most funds annually has been the golf tournament, which, you know, we've given a lot of money out to the hospital, for example, over the last few years, $150,000. But if you look at it in the aggregate, our scholarships are huge. $500,000, more than $500,000 over the life of our scholarship giving.
That is really a phenomenal amount. Do you know how did the scholarships even come about? How do we handle that?
Well, I should have looked that up, Marty, because you probably know better than I do, and I've forgotten how that actually started. But it's been longer than I've been in the club, and it happens every year, and it's not income based. And we've helped a lot of kids afford college.
Well, I'll give you a little cheat thing here, Carl. What we did was we formed the Gateway Foundation back in 1985, and it's a separate 501c3 from the club itself, and that's how what we began to do was amass money so that we have a pretty good endowment, so that we're able to give pretty much close to $20,000 every year. So you know, that's a real accomplishment on the part of the club. So Carl, I know that the club is always looking for new members. Why should somebody join the Brattleboro Rotary Club?
Well, I think why you join and why you stay changes over time. One of the things we're focusing on this year is just because COVID, you're limited in some types of activities. We're trying to develop, maybe you'd call it a brand, but it's basically a menu of the things we do from the small to the large, whether it's Christmas cards for folks at senior homes to building those large projects, so that someone who's interested in the club isn't scared away by the magnitude of what we do. If you think about the life cycle of a member, if you join as I did when you're raising kids and you have less time, you might only be able to do small projects a couple times a year. Whereas as life goes along, you might get more interested in get involved in those deck or building the disc golf course kind of projects. But projects are not the only activity. We have a great speakers every week at our meeting. Even in Zoom, we have tremendous speakers. And sometimes it's a nonprofit, but we've had judges from war crime trials in Eastern Europe. More recently, we had a gentleman who has been a writer for OPEC and has local roots. And those are great. Marty also posts those on the community TV for others to view.
Right. So actually, that's an accomplishment for COVID, because we're doing it at these Zoom meetings. We have the Brattleboro Rotary Club speaker series, so people can see the quality of folks that we have come on. So Carl, as all new presidents, your year begins on July 1st and ends on June 30th. What do you hope to accomplish as president?
Well, I mean, the most important thing is for the club to remain active and to be vibrant as what it is, and a place for people to come and participate in community as they can afford to. I mean, that's really the bottom line. In COVID, we were limited. Some are fundraisers, yet we have a nice rainy day fund so that we can continue to support the community. So we're looking at organizing our new member efforts and making sure we have the material and awareness, such as that menu of opportunities that people have. We need to let individuals that are interested know that in the past, you had an attendance, you had to be there every week, and there was a lot of commitment. Today, we can design a membership around somebody's life stage: young, old, senior citizens, anyone at any stage in their life, any race, anything can come into our club and find a way to meet their community goals.
Right.
So anyhow, membership. The other issue is fundraisers themselves. Our Christmas tree program, we've sold trees every year. In the past, we've sold as many as 900 trees. Now, maybe half of that. That's one part of our scholarship funding. And it's declined some. We're still, it's still active, but we've got to find other activities that can support the things we do that need money behind them.
All right, Carl. So last question for you tonight is, what's the best thing for you about being a Rotarian?
Well, thing is hard. What are the best things might be a good way to say it. But for me, it's really the members as friends and colleagues, and satisfaction over time, what we accomplish on a local and international level. Those are really important. You might take a particular year or a month and not seem like there's a lot happening, but after you've been involved for 30 years or 5 years or 10 years, you look back at what's accomplished, and it's real good.
All right. Well, Carlin, thanks for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you, Marty.
We'll be right back. Thanks for coming. We'll be right back with our guest, Cindy Delgatto. But first, this brief message from Rotary International that explains what Rotary does. We'll be right back.
What is Rotary? Rotary International is an international service organization whose purpose is to bring together business and professional leaders in order to provide humanitarian services, encourage high ethical standards in all vocations, and to advance goodwill and peace around the world. It's a secular organization open to all people, regardless of race, color, creed, religion, gender, or political preference. There are over 34,000 clubs worldwide, and over 1.2 million individuals called Rotarians have joined these clubs. The Rotarian's primary motto is service above self. Rotarians usually gather weekly for breakfast, lunch, or dinner to fulfill their first guiding principle: to develop friendships as an opportunity for service. Interested in joining Rotary? Then please visit Rotary.org and go to Club Finder on the menu. Or you can click the link below to learn more about your Rotary Club.
Welcome back to Rotary Cares, the award-winning monthly show that demystifies Rotary International. Our guest is Cindy Delgatto, president of the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you, Marty. It's great to see you.
Okay. So let's, the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club was chartered in 1995, which is 25 years ago.
Yes, indeed.
How long have you been involved with Rotary?
I have been involved with Rotary since August of 2016, officially, but way back in the day, probably around 1993 or so, I was introduced to Rotary by a past district governor in Middletown, New York, and it too was a noon Rotary, and that's where my intrigue and eventual love affair with Rotary began.
Okay, well, we're glad that you fell in love. Now, do you remember, go back in time, why did you join Rotary?
Okay, so why I joined Rotary, I mean, that changes for a lot of people. I think a lot of people come to Rotary because I think it's part of what they should do for work or whatnot. But I really, from my heart, embrace the service above self philosophy. And there's a quote by Ruth Bader Ginsburg that kind of sums it up perfectly, is that when you fight for things that you care about, but you do it in a way that leads others to join you, you really can make a strong change in the world. And I think that embodies what Rotary does.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about that. Rotary International is involved in several global projects, notably Polio Plus that Carl mentioned. How does Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club participate globally?
So we're really fortunate to have a tremendous guide through our global initiatives, Tristram Johnson, and we too support all the variety of projects that Carl had mentioned. But in addition, we're really honored to be a part of the Pine Ridge Reservation and the Lakota Nation as they stand up the white clay artist makerspace. And Tristram has been working tirelessly with them to be able to provide funding and support and whatever they need to stand this makerspace up. And it basically gives Lakota artists a chance to have a place to create their craft and then sell their craft. And that will help them bring in more income and give a chance to amplify all the good work they're doing. On a side note with that, he became befriended by one of the local residents. His name, I want to get his name right, is Chinupa Mani. And he's Tristram calls him his Lakota Sioux friend. And he travels from the Pine Ridge Reservation on his own dime every day, getting donations from all the neighboring states. And I want to preface that this is not across the ocean. This is right in Nebraska. So the misnomer is that global opportunities have to be all over the world. They can be right here in our own country. So this gentleman, Chinupa, travels to neighboring states to get whatever is needed in that moment for his neighbors on his own dime. And it's truly an honor to be able to help support that. He recently needed some gas money for his vehicle, and we were able to help with the in-kind between our both clubs, help support that effort. So just a reminder that global doesn't have to be this ginormous thing all the time. It can be right there and where the need is.
It's a fantastic project. So let's go back locally. What kind of projects does the Sunrise Club get involved in locally?
So locally, we always support our friends at Groundworks Collaborative. We help with the overflow shelter dinners when they're previously when it comes time, we do Camp for a Common Cause. We do some other on the fly gathering and supports for them when there is a need. We also are recently joining with Stephanie Bonin for Everyone Eats, and we're going to be sending some folks to help distribute food there. We built from scratch with Erin Nolly O'Keefe from Tiny Homes, a pergola for Turning Point Recovery Center. But probably our newest, it's not newest, but it's potentially going to be the biggest, is and you can hear my dog in the background, so I apologize, is the golf tournament, the disc golf tournament that we're co-running with the Noon Club, and that's going to be October 24th and 25th. And that is just so exciting, and it's going to be the first sanctioned PDGA disc golf championship.
That is exciting. And one of the things that you just alluded to is there are a lot of projects that both clubs work together. Mm-hmm. So while there are two clubs in Brattleboro, many times we come together and work jointly on certain important tasks.
We do. We always look to try to partner so that we can increase the volume of supports that we can provide.
In terms of your club, what's the club's biggest fundraiser?
So it's an interesting question because COVID kind of changed it. So we have two big fundraisers. We have the 3-on-3 basketball tournament and the dinner raffle. And both of those fundraisers help support our scholarship fund. The 3-on-3 basketball tournament was supposed to happen March, right as everybody was shutting down, so that didn't happen. So right now, we're looking to probably say that the disc golf tournament is going to be our biggest fundraiser for this year. But we also have a fundraiser, I like to say, so it might not be the biggest fundraiser, but we also promote Monday night trivia, which we help provide fun and fundraising supports to local 501(c)(3)s and nonprofits. And they get to participate in the fun and games and play trivia. And it's just a chance to have fellowship, come together, have some fun, great food at the Legion, and then it also provides some supports to our local community.
Yeah, that is a really fun time. So let me ask you, you two have, the same question that I asked Carl. Why should someone join the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club?
Well,
little competition.
Yeah, well, I don't want to say it's competition. First of all, it's whatever your juice is. So if you're a morning person like we all are, you get up Wednesday morning at 7:15. You got to be a little different to be able to, to want to get up at 7:15 in the morning. We really foster fun, fellowship, friendship in the effort to be able to provide hope when there's no hope for people. So we are a collection of business owners, service providers, people who really have the pulse in the ear of the community. We're really nimble and we can proactively and reactively respond to the needs of the community. And we just have a whole bunch of fun doing it together. We just really enjoy each other. And so that's why someone should join that group in the morning.
All right. So let me ask you, you two started your term on, on July 1st. What do you hope to accomplish as president of the Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary Club?
So I had a lot of hopes and aspirations, but I also had a lot of great foundational history from the previous presidents and just the group on its own. So as a president, I'm here to support the club, not that kind of try to drive it into a direction. So right now, my hope is to be able to provide a space, and right now it's virtual, where we can continue to come together for friendship and fellowship and support for each other while we are focusing on the needs of the community and being able to try to maintain the existing efforts. Some we can, some we can't, while we're also identifying the needs during this COVID time. So yeah, we're just here to get through this all together.
All right, so let me ask you the same question I asked Carl. What's the best thing for you about being a Rotarian?
I just, service above self is my juice. It's just fills my heart with gratitude to be able to provide supports for people and to uncover and discover hope where there's no hope. And that's the best part of being it, and being able to do it with a group of people that I love and respect in a community that I feel very bonded to. That's the best part of Rotary.
Okay, well, thanks for taking the time to be on the show, Cindy.
Thank you, Marty. I appreciate it.
So I'd like to thank our guests, Lynde and Cindy Delgatto. By the way, I usually give a shout out to Brattleboro Sunrise Rotary past president Kevin Yeager for doing the magic behind the cameras, and I look forward to when we can actually return to the BCTV studio so that Kevin could do some of this hard work. Speaking of BCTV, I'd like to thank BCTV for recognizing us as a 2018 nonprofit member of the year. And a special thanks to Brian Bashaw for helping us bring this show to you. If you have any questions, concerns, or even ideas for future topics, send them to info@BrattleboroRotaryClub.org. That's info@BrattleboroRotaryClub.org. I'm Marty Cohn. Thanks for watching, and stay healthy.